Good morning, everyone. My name is Sonja Hults. I'm your first Vice President Dean of Palomar District, and I want to welcome you to today's workshop. Today's workshop is about putting on a workshop. It was funny when I was trying to come up with names on what to call today. I put it out on the internet, which is always such a fun place to fodder, right? And I got all these emails from people, messages from people going, a workshop on a workshop? Couldn't come up with a better name. I was like, all right, guys, give me a break here. All right, so I am going to share. I have, okay, so, all right, everyone. So there are tools that we're using today, so we need to be aware of what the tools are. I want you to think about if you have any questions, I want you to use chat. So if you could do me a favor and try to open up your chat, you're going to roll your mouse to the bottom of the screen. And on the bottom of the screen, there should be a way for you to see the word chat and for you to be part of that. And then if you push on the word chat, it comes up in a window on my right-hand side. I can see everything that you're saying. You're welcome to send me a message, or you're welcome to send a message to, oh, thank you, everyone. The other thing that we need to do is reactions. Reactions also have a lot of different play in a workshop. A reaction button on the bottom will tell me if you're liking, not liking, have a question, raise your hand, or lower your hand. You need to learn to use these tools. So if you will go down to the bottom and just go down to the word react and roll over the top of that. If you will show me that you can raise your hand, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. And Ellen will be running the boards behind me, helping me with that today. All right, thank you very much. Go ahead and lower your hands. All right, can everyone see my PowerPoint? Can you give me a thumbs up? Very good. All right, so I am a creative. So when I do a workshop, I try to make it fun and interesting. I'm also a teacher. For those of you that don't know, I got my credential in early 2000s when we found out my son was on the autism spectrum, and they wanted to put him in resource rooms. And I didn't feel that my hyper Asperger's child would do well in that environment. So I figured out another way, which was going back to school and become trained again. And I think one of the things that we don't often talk about is how we have the skill, we have the knowledge, but we've never actually put it into a package and made it into a workshop that works for people. So here's what I'd like to do today. I'd like you to think about okay, we did the Zoom rooms, raise your hand, rename. Okay, so here's today's agenda. So today's agenda goes like this. There are different kinds of workshops, and everyone knows that you've been to some that are successful and some that aren't successful. But there are different types of workshops, and I don't know if that's often discussed. The other thing is there's always an opening to the room or opening to your workshop, and setting the tone of your workshop can make all the difference in the world. You want to try to do an activity or a warm-up, getting the people engaged. You want to be prepared. You want to check in on a regular basis. You want to do a wrap-up that's meaningful, and you want to do a debriefing. Okay, so that's where we're headed in today. All right, so let's talk about workshop timing. So you usually have an hour. Did I get it? I have this little bug flying around my head. It could be a meme. You never know. All right, so there's usually an hour. They usually tell you, we're going to put you in this room. You have an hour. Good luck. Have fun. Do a good job. And then they kind of walk away, right? So, Ellen, if you could handle that, thank you. It usually means that someone's coming in and they haven't muted ahead of time, so no big deal. So if you have an hour, let's look at the breakdown of what an hour would look like. All right. So what you want to do is you want to think about very strategically how you're going to plan that hour. So you're going to start with a 10-minute opening or a greeting. And this can be you standing at the door, shaking everyone's hands, or it can be like we did in the Zoom room, where we ask questions, we engage, we get everyone to laugh. Whatever that works for you is what I need you to think about. And then you have 15 to 20 minutes of sharing or teaching. Now, this would be depending on what kind of workshop that is. The next is you want pointed interaction, and we'll go over what that is. And that is a very important tool that teachers use to make sure that the crowd, the group, the class is understanding the topic. You can't see the PowerPoint? Guys, you can't see the PowerPoint? Okay, let's do this again.
No, it got stopped.
Okay,
Sorry.
let's do it again. All right. I don't think I've moved past this slide. All right. You guys got it now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So it's an hour workshop breakdown. You have 10 minutes for opening and greeting. You have 15 to 20 minutes for sharing and teaching. You have 10 minutes of pointed interaction, and we don't often discuss this at all. This is a very, very important teaching tool that we use on a regular basis, every class, everything that we do as teachers. And then 10 minutes you allow for sharing or questions, but you keep an idea of what's being shared, and you are the ruler of the room, and you have to keep it on topic. The last part is you have 10 minutes where you review the information before they leave the room, 10 most important thoughts before you leave, and then your resources are handed out at that time. So it's a lot to organize, and it's a lot to think about. But once you have this method down, you can literally run on this for the rest of your life, and after a while, it just becomes what you do. Okay. All right. I'm going to give you personal reflections before we get into the nitty-gritty. I've been doing teaching for what, 25 years? And every classroom's different. Every crowd is different. Every topic's different. Every situation's different. Every day is different. First thing you need to know is you do you. If you're trying to be me in a workshop, it's not going to work. Does that make sense? Because I'm outgoing, I'm effervescent, I have a big, huge personality. That's just who I've been my entire life. Imagine what my mother used to say. Because I have a very introverted, very quiet, very thoughtful cleric mother. And I'm an extrovert and I can't wait to see people. So we're very different. So imagine that. But you do you. You know you practice you, and you do you. Do not do someone else. Know your style. Everyone has a way of speaking that's impactful, it's interesting, and it will bring people back. But you have to do this enough around a situation that you know what your style is. Okay? So, and then the next thing is you have to plan. Plan. So many times I have walked into a workshop and she's like, oh, I sat down last night and threw it together. No, that's not the way it works. It's just not the way it works. I'm sorry, guys. If you've been named a chairman or if you've become a dean and you know you have to do report writing, or if you know you have to talk about domestic violence or advocates for children, sit down and plan just four incredible workshops where you can carry them with you all the time and be successful. Sue Ellen Brazil is our GFWC president, and I work at the WSR, which is the regional as communications. She has about 6 to 10 speeches that she says for 2 years. She does not try to do it on the fly. She does not try to reinvent the wheel. She does not try to be the popular one in the room. She does her. Does that make sense? Everyone, yes? Okay.
Yes.
So what I need you to think about is think about your topic, what you're most interested in. Don't try to cover 25 different things. Cover the 4 that hit your heart. Because if you're speaking from your heart, if you're speaking about something that makes a difference to you, everyone in that room feels that. So know what that is for you. Now, there was Chris Herzog is our parliamentarian, but the last 4 years she served on the communications as branding. And we went and we were doing this whole thing in, I think it was San Bernardino. And I had on what I thought was the coolest outfit of the day, right? You know how you go to your closet and you're like, okay, I got this. And I saw the pictures afterwards and I was just mortified. So there are outfits that you should be mindful of when you're in front of everyone. And the only reason I mention this is because as your Facebook chairman for the state and also doing Facebook and photography, I can tell you if you dress the part, people believe in you more. I'm sorry, it is what it is. We're a visual world. So I always suggest that you pick a color that you love. When you're nervous, you want to be in something that you love. I apologize, my voice in the morning. And then I also suggest that you wear a jacket. So if you wear, I'm okay with pants, I'm okay with whatever you choose, but wear something that if it's cold, you have a jacket. If it's hot, it hides the sweat marks. Just know how to dress when you're nervous. Dressing to go to a workshop is different when you're running a workshop. It has to be comfortable. Your shoes have to work well. It has to be I would use solid from top to bottom, either red, blue, white, gray, black. Do a spot of color across the chest, and then a really beautiful set of earrings or some sort of a statement piece at the neck. That's what people remember. If you dress the part, then they're apt to listen more. And I know that sounds shallow, but it's the world we live in. All right, so workshop types. There are different kinds of workshops that we do. All right, we do informational workshops. This is where you get in front of the finance team, and the finance team is telling you how to do your taxes for your club. We do a membership, how to put your numbers on the flyers to make sure that we have it state the right numbers. And then there's the chairman ones. The GFWC tells the chairman what they're supposed to talk about. They are given all the tools that they need to talk about those topics in their chairmanships at the GFWC. They are supposed to take that information, disseminate it, and bring it to us all the way down to the club. So those are informational because the information's been given to you. Okay, thumbs up. Did I lose everyone yet? Uh-oh. Yes, thumbs up. Yay. Okay, good. The second kind is a creative workshop. These are the ones like Teresa Williams does. So you guys know Teresa? She's like, oh my gosh, you guys, she is so darn creative. I have to live closer to her because I love to be creative. All right, so these are hands-on creative. These are like your paint and sips, you're doing a project for your pinwheels, your the ones where you're packing bags for things. Those are your creatives. Those are the ones where it's all hands-on. You know when going in that you're going to do something with your hands and it's a more interactive, more creative. And then photography, because photography you can learn, but it's also very creative. And then there's art. So arts and culture, we do a lot of things with different parts of art. So then it goes into educational. Educational is something that we try to do quite a bit in club. We are teaching, we're learning, we're interacting, we're being part of something, we're showing. This is such as Canva. I'm doing a class next week on Canva. This is a teaching situation, an educational one, where you're actually coming to learn how to do something. Or it's tech. So let's say that you want to learn how to use Constant Contact. That takes a certain skill level to teach those kind of things. And that's why we call them educational. Okay. So you actually walk away knowing how to do a certain thing. All right. Okay. All right. Opening a workshop. So you have walked into a workshop and no one was there. And you've sat at a table in the back because nobody wants to be noticed. And you're way back in the back. No one greets you. No one asks you any information. And you literally just go because you want to disappear for an hour. Is that possible? We all know that this happens because we're tired, right? Okay, so I'm telling you that when you're doing a workshop and you're in charge, you never let someone disappear. Do not let that person disappear because you have no idea the impact that you will have in that room if you just take a minute to say good morning, or if you just take a minute to ask them how they're doing or where they're from. Okay, so I'm saying this. Recently, I had a woman come into my classroom to teach etiquette to my freshmen. I used to teach etiquette for them. And she was a
Actually
real
the
estate
least of our
agent.
problems. Hunter had another seizure yesterday,
I'm going to give Ellen a
and
minute
it's
to
going to
get that
lead the
back on.
day.
There we go. Thank you, everyone. That happens. It's fine. You got to ebb and flow, right, everyone? So I'm going to encourage you to find every person in that room. And oh, I'm sorry, I was telling you the story. So she walks in, she stands at the door before the kids walked into the room, and she shook and greeted eye to eye every single person in that room. Do you think those kids paid attention? They did. And you know, the other talent that she had that I struggle with is she remembered so many of those names. And remembering names, we have badges, you guys. Take a minute. You're going to make mistakes. That's fine. But eye to eye, if you greet every woman in your workshop, that's going to make a huge difference to them. To them, it engages them. Okay. So you want to create a warm, welcoming room. You notice that when you come into Zoom, I'm a talkative person, but I try to engage you. I want you to tell me about your day because that excites me. That gets me into knowing what kind of a crowd I have. And that's very, very important. All right. And then you want to create a table setting. Now, in workshops, we don't often think about this, but you want to have tables in your workshops. You don't want to just have chairs because women want to write and they want to use the resources. They want to sit with their arms. They want to have a cup of coffee. It's just what we should do because you want them to do notes. And if they're on a chair trying to balance their coffee and they have their phone and they're trying to do it all, you're telling them that I'm sorry, you're supposed to take notes, but I'm not providing you the right format for you to do it. Sorry. And no, that's not what we do in club. We provide them a venue to do their best. And to do their best, they want to have their purse, they want to have their coffee, and they want to have their table. And then notes. So they want to do all of this. So provide them that space. Take the minute to find the tables for them. All right. So activities. Let's start at the very beginning. So here we go. Start the workshop by having fun. Nobody wants to get up, be at a workshop at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then be bored to tears and just sit in the back and disappear. They don't want to do it. I don't care how you create this to look like it. I've given you some examples, but through the years, I've had the privilege of working with some really fantastic teachers and also some fantastic presidents. And one of the things that one of them always encouraged the chairman to do was to dress the part. And she would push us into this. Now, I'm 6'1". I'm an Amazon. Costumes don't necessarily work for me, but I played along and did the thing. We did one on communications and all kinds of stuff. So I got I made a big paper phone and I had media hanging on my chest. And when you greet everyone and you have that kind of an atmosphere in the room, it changes the room from quiet and stoic to kind of a party atmosphere. Oh, this is going to be fun. You want your first, how many minutes? Who remembers? Someone put into chat. Let me see if I can get my chat. Maybe Ellen can help me. Someone unmute and tell me how many minutes does it take for you to make your first impression?
Less than a minute.
Less than a minute. Absolutely. I would say with our visual world the way it is now, you have 30 seconds. Facebook, you have 9 seconds to hit them or get them to stop. So think about where we're moving. We used to be a much slower environment. We were willing to sit with the TV that you turn the channel knob by knob. We don't do that anymore. We're living in a very visual, very quick environment. So let's say that if you have 18 to 35s in the room, my high schoolers, you'll lose them in 25 seconds. I mean, it's just a terrible thing that we're living in. So engage them and then try to do a fun activity. And I suggest these following activities. So M&M activity, great way, 10 minutes, put them at tables, give them some M&Ms. Everybody loves chocolate. And then on the list, I'll give you what it looks like here real quick. This is what it looks like. Can you see it? Is it too close? Okay. I can send you these resources. So like for an M&M activity, you ask for red. If you pulled a red M&M, tell us something about your childhood. Orange, something that you do well. Now, can we tweak this for our members? Absolutely. What was the last project that you did that was impactful? What did you do last week in club that made you feel welcome? What did you do? Who was your favorite speaker that you heard at convention last year? You can do this for membership so that you understand exactly where your members are in that room before you start speaking. You are trying, as the moderator of the room, you're trying to get a read as to who's sitting in those chairs. Because believe it or not, if you speak, oh, I have a great story on this one. But if you speak to them and they're not in the room for you, if they're just putting it, if you don't know who they are and you're speaking the wrong speech, you're going to lose the entire room and it's going to come away very unsuccessful. So these games help you know those kind of things. All right. The second one is one that we use in teaching all of the time. And I'm suggesting that we bring these into our rooms. A KWL. Everybody's used them. Everybody knows them. Everyone had them as children. But it's a very impactful, very simple tool that we can use to make sure that they're getting out of these workshops what you need them to get out of. So it's what I know. So let's say it's about children's advocacy. What I know, you have them list the things and share it out. 2, and you can have it tabletop for 5 minutes. Share out what you know about children's advocacy amongst yourselves. You have 5 minutes. And then you circle the room listening around the tables to make sure that they're on the right topic. They actually know what children's advocacy is and that you are not speaking what they already know. Okay. 2, what you want to know. Share out with me for 2 minutes. Someone raise your hand from your table and tell me what you'd like to learn today. That makes sure that as the moderator of the room, as the person teaching them what they need to know, that you're not headed in the wrong direction. And can I tell you, as a teacher of 6th graders, I'm often headed in the wrong direction. They just want food. That's all they ever want. What I want to know, food. All right. And then at the end of the workshop, when you debrief, you have them do what I learned. And it can be 1 or it can be 3. You can say, you know what, as a table, just write down 3 things you learned today. That gives you a better idea of where you're going for your next workshop. Okay. Toss it away. I've tossed them. Sometimes I'm too techie and I lose the whole room. Okay. So here's where I found these very important tools that no one has ever heard of before. Pinterest. Hello. Everyone go to Pinterest. Go use it. It's a free resource. It's a wonderful place to play. I went in there and I put what are tools that I can use to get a workshop started for a nonprofit. And they came up with, I don't know, hundreds, thousands. So do the one that works best for you in the time that you have. One of the things you have to be very aware of is some of these take a considerable amount of time. So you might shorten it to just one of these or some of this, but do not let it run away on you and take 20 minutes, okay? Because then the rest of your workshop is ruined. All right, and then find someone bingo. So let's say you're the membership team and you're putting on a workshop about orientation. We did this at our orientation and it was fantastic. It's about getting to know everyone in the room. And it's who has traveled to another country and you have them sign it. Who is has 4 or more children? Who is married for more than 10 years? And what does this do? I cannot tell you how well this worked. I was absolutely shocked. They started talking to each other. And then I noticed that everyone got to know each other through the whole night because they had commonalities to use in that room. Now, as a state and as a district, we're not dealing with people that work in just one area. You're dealing with people that work around a very large area. So if you can get them to have commonalities, who's in a book club? Oh, everyone loves talking about books. Who loves to go to who loves to go wine tasting? Oh, look, we've got that on there. And then they have commonalities to go find each other afterwards. Does that make sense to everyone? Thumbs up? All right, let's stop for a minute. Does anyone have a question? I see that I have something in chat. Let me just go check that real quick. Oh, TPT. All right, thank you for that question. All right, so if you go, there's this wonderful company called Teachers Pay Teachers, and it has incredible, incredible resources for you. You can find, teachers are very plan oriented. So let's say that you need to talk about whatever topic. Or you need to organize, or you need to, let me isolate this. My brain is running too quickly. So bingo would be on there. Your KWL will be a free resource on there. Canva also has a lot of these resources available to you, and you can change the topics in Canva. TPT would also have organizational tools. So let's say that you want to plan a worksheet for something, TPT will have that for you. So it's teacher paid teachers. It's teachers creating resources for everyone else in the world. It's an incredible resource. All right. Thank you for asking that, though. All right. The bingo I did had a box that asked, who's wearing blue underwear? I love that idea. The one that was the most popular in ours was uh, who has a tattoo? And my best friend has a tattoo. None of us knew. It was so much fun. And she's like the oldest one in the club. And so we were all asking her to show it to us. So allow them to have a little bit of fun as the opening of the meeting. All right, KWL. KWL means what do you know? What do I want to know? And what I learned. So that's all it means. It's a very simple tool that's been used since the beginning of teacher time. Okay. Any other questions? Fantastic. What a great cloud. I'm going to take you every time. All right. Be prepared. All right. Do not, please, do not go into a workshop that someone has trusted you. It's an honor, a privilege to be asked to do a workshop. This is not something that the planners do lightly. And if they do, you need to have a conversation with them as their president. The people that do your workshops are the voices of your group. So you need to be very aware of who's doing them and help them do them well. All right. So do not start planning the night before. Do what I say, have 4 powerful workshops all ready to go and offer those everywhere you go. It's a privilege to be the presenter. If you come unprepared, you're telling the members that they're not important enough for you to take your time to show up prepared. How shocking is that? But think about it. How many times have you gone to a workshop and she's like, oh, I haven't had time to plan it. So what do you want to do? And you're like, what? I just got up at 8 o'clock in the morning, did my makeup for a change to look good for you. And you didn't even take the time to make yourself to do this workshop. Okay. Do not do that. Second, here's the list of things that I always hold myself true. And all of you that know me know I'm a bit of an OCD type A personality. All right, here we go. Arrive early. You are the first one in the room. Set up your room for your success, or have someone else set it up for your success. It's your responsibility. 2, have your copies made and organized in the front. Don't go running to your bag. Don't look like you don't know what you're doing. Don't look like like you're rattled. Never look rattled. And then bring supplies. Bring water if you have to, or find the water. Bring pens. How much do they cost? I mean, Sherry's so good at this. She always brings pens and paper, and you feel so valuable because she took the time to do that. And then bring a snack, because if it's an hour and they've had a long morning and they've been to a workshop before yours, use a way to inspire them. And chocolates always works well. But I have to tell you, this last weekend, I did a photography job for Rotary, and they did the Disney Training Institute. And that man was so fantastic. You can tell he's been doing workshops for a very long time. And he had little Disney figurines for every time someone in the room raised their hand. They were fighting to raise their hand for those Disney figurines. So figure out what makes them raise their hand and have fun doing it. So he would go up to the person and go, oh, well, you look like you have fairy wings. Here's a fairy. He made it fun to earn those little figurines. And those are little tiny plastic things, right? How much could they possibly have cost him? But that room loved that particular interaction. And then he went around afterwards and took pictures with everyone that got one of those and put it up on them. So be aware that all of these simple things that you do mean a lot to some people. Okay. All right. Learning styles. So we often forget that we don't all learn the same. We assume that everyone learns the way that we do, and that's not true. So you got to do what the room needs. This is not about you. Can I say that again? This is not about you. This is how you're meeting the needs of teaching them what they need to do. So visual. So if you're a visual learner, that means that you have to have a PowerPoint. There's no way you're going to understand it all in any other way. All right. Or you can do videos. There's a lot of wonderful videos out there that you can send out. Auditory learners, they need to ask questions. We have several people across the state that actually ask the question and learn it as they're saying it. So sometimes you have to let them get through that process. The things that you can do to encourage audio learning would be the speaking, of course, music, whatever you need to use. But here are some other techniques that I use all the time. An elbow to elbow question time. So you say, turn to your neighbor and ask them the one time that pinwheels were in their club. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. And they're audio talking about something and it's reinforcing it in the way that they learn. Okay. Read and write. Some people have to take notes. They literally have to take notes to learn. I've got so many kids like this. I have one little girl. Her name is Aurelia. I love her dearly. But if she doesn't have 900 notes, she doesn't pass the test. I don't know what it is, but it is what it is. And she's the most incredible child. So they need to have a worksheet. So always have a worksheet. Always have a worksheet. Always have a note sheet. Allow people to take notes. And then you can reinforce all of this with a trivia of some kind. All right. All right. And then a kinesthetic. These are the people that are often ADHD or often super hyper. And no, that's not me. I am super hyper sometimes, but I'm actually really quiet in my real life. And then you need them to move, right? So if you notice that the thing is getting quiet and no one's really interacting, then you go, all right, everyone, fruit basket upset. Everyone go over here. A's go over here, B's. So if you did the M&M thing, you could say all the blues go to that table. All the reds go to this table. All the greens go to that table. And you get them to re-engage by moving. Okay. So this also kind of depends on what time of day it is, how much coffee they've been offered during the day, right? So be mindful of how your room is looking. If they're all beginning to sink down into their chair and you're losing them, then go, all right, we're going to change this up for just a minute. Everyone stand up, and then you put on sing and shout, woo, woo, woo. And then you get the energy back up in the room the way it needs to be, okay? So you have to be mindful of what your room is doing. I don't know why this is struggling today. Sorry, guys. You know, technology, it is what it is. All right. So does anyone have any questions about these learning styles? Do you want to put it in chat, or you can unmute or raise your hand? Does everyone know which learning style you are? How about if you put into chat, tell me what learning style you are. Does everyone know? All right. Someone tell me what I am. Does anyone know? Someone undo and tell me which one you think I am. Hands-on, okay? Read and write, kinesthetic, visual. All right, I got them all. I'm actually an auditorial learner. So when I was a little girl, my mom was trying to teach me to read, and I just couldn't get it. So do you know what she did? She would sing the books to me, and I would remember them verbatim. And if I need, I was a concert flautist for many, many years, and I would trick my teachers into playing the music ahead of me, and then I didn't have to learn it because I would remember it. So it's how you learn makes it really, really important that you realize when you see my chat and it's like, I'm reading right, I'm visual, I'm kinesthetic, I'm auditorial, I'm a combination. So understand that every single room is like this. So if every room has all of these different learning styles, then you can't just do it in one style. You have to include everyone in on the conversation. All right? Good job, you guys. All right, speaker. All right, so as a speaker, I'm not talking about the speech today. I'm doing that in another workshop, how to do a good speech, because I would like someone from Toastmasters to come in and teach us how to write a good speech. There is actually a method to this. So know your topic, know it inside and out, do the study, do the research, do whatever you need to do. Be aware that you're going to be asked questions that you probably don't know, and that's okay. You can say, I don't know. However, write it down for me, put it on and you can have little sticky, these little note things are invaluable in a workshop. Would you mind writing that question down, and I'll send it out as an email tomorrow? All right. But these, you can paste them inside your calendar and you don't lose them. Okay. All right. Use a PowerPoint as your outline. A PowerPoint is a very powerful tool. I use Canva now because look at how beautiful it is. I mean, it's just incredible color, and it's bright and it's cheerful. You can time the slides. Did you know that? You can literally time the slides so it keeps you on track for your 50-minute lesson. So if you want to speak for 5 minutes on a certain topic, section of it, you time it for 5 minutes, and when it turns, you know you're ready to go. Okay? Use the tools that they have out there to help you do a better job. All right, check in. You have to check in, walk the room. Never stay static in the front of the room. Always be willing to walk around, have them do questions, go check in with every table. Have you ever noticed that teachers never sit down? We are always walking the room. So go and overhear the conversation. Go in and check in with them. Oh, tell me which one at the table was the most important to you. All right, give candy for questions. I give out little, when I was comm chair, I used to give out little bees and they fought for those bees. It was crazy. Be funny. Get a list of things that make people laugh. Be willing to tell some jokes. Be willing to engage people in a fun way. And then the last one is just reinforcing that. Be engaging. You never want to come across as pious. You never want to come across as a know-it-all. What you want to come across is their best friend sitting across a table and having a conversation. Okay? All right. Does everyone agree with that? No? You hate it? No? Okay, guys. So the last 10 minutes are your most impactful time. This is where you get a chance to reinforce everything that you've done. And but it's also the hardest. And let me tell you why. Because you did your speech, you're going up, you're working super hard, you've got it all planned. Everyone in the room seems to be doing well, and now you're exhausted, right? Your energy's starting to wane. They're starting to get tired. They're starting to look at their watches because they have to go to the next workshop. We all know this happens. So this is where it's the hardest 10 minutes, but it's absolutely the most important 10 minutes. So you allow for question and answers, but you want to do it guided. But this is where your best friend comes really handy. I often will have people in the room that know the topic, that are good friends of mine, that ask leading questions. So I position them around the room. It's called pointed interaction. So if it's about technology and the Facebook page, and a topic hasn't been discussed, I have 10 questions that I need to cover that day. I'll have one of these 3 people ask that question so that I can answer that question and make sure that topic's covered. And then you want to allow for question and answers, but you can't have oversharing. So you need to be still in charge of the room. Have someone you know write down what was said, the questions that were asked, so that you can send them out as a resource later on. Okay? A lot of the learning, the better part of the workshop comes from sharing. Your handout, you must always have your name and your contact. They must be able to get a hold of you because people forget stuff all the time. And if you don't provide for them a worksheet with the top 10 things you need to remember today, the resources on the back of where they can find them, and then their notes section, that's not okay. Your job is to make sure they walk out with everything they need to know to go back to their club and repeat it. And often it's not the next day. Often it's 10 days from that. So if you don't provide a stellar worksheet, maybe we need to do a workshop on worksheets. Yeah, let's do that then. I'll do that with you because as a teacher, we do worksheets all the time and there is a method to it. And then you want to make sure that they have everything they can to walk away with that and turn around and teach it. And we often forget this. We often don't do that for anyone. All right. Topic reminders. So your handout has to have the following things in it. It has to have your topic reminders. I always do like the top 10 things I want you to remember from today. Your agenda, so that they remember brain-wise, they remember exactly what was discussed. Ideas, always include the ideas that you shared. If it's just even links to where they can go. Resources. Our members are in dire need of resources. Everyone needs to have something fresh and new all the time, which is why we do workshops. We want them to walk away with so many resources to use that their next year on this topic is planned. And then websites. There are incredible resources out on the internet. Please include websites that touch these topics on that worksheet. And I'd be happy to do this with you guys. All right, hand out your survey. You must get a reflection on how you did. It is really, really hard to hear all the things that you did wrong. If they were bored, it's hard to hear that. If they didn't like the topic or how you taught it, it's hard to hear that. I'll tell you my first experience. As I went to Area C. I talked about Facebook to women in their older years. And the room was, here are the mistakes that I made. First of all, in a large room like that, you cannot do an educational workshop. You just can't do it. Second of all, if you're teaching something like a tool such as Facebook, everyone has to have Facebook. I did not think about that before I walked in the room. I assumed that everyone would know what I was talking about. So halfway through, I'll never forget this. This woman's snoring in the front of the room. And Marsha Willett comes up to me and she's like, "Girl." And I'm like, "I know, but I don't know what to do." She goes, "We're taking you off." And I went, "Oh my gosh, I did such a poor job that they took me off the stage." So I learned really, really quick how to do this better. So please come along with me and learn with me, because we've all been, raise your hand if you've ever had an unsuccessful workshop. Come on, guys. We've all had an unsuccessful workshop. If people are not coming up to you afterwards and saying, "Oh, that was amazing. I am so excited. I cannot wait," you've had an unsuccessful workshop. If they didn't stay behind and ask you questions, you had an unsuccessful workshop. If they did not contact you in 2 weeks asking you for the resources that you talked about, y'all didn't do it well. So y'all, we can do this. We can make it exciting and doable, but we have to learn the method. So learn with me through my mistakes. All right. So meet with your friends. You always bring your friends to your workshop because they will have your back. You always have to have a club bestie in the room. If you're in the weeds, you have them in the back. So with the comm team, what we used to do is we would spread across the room, each one of us sitting at a different table. And then we would all tell each other how the conversation at the table was going. So we would know whether we needed to change it up or say it. And then if one of us started talking too dry, you know what dry means in technology, right? Like you're losing the room, then they would give us a thumbs down and we know to change the topic. So make your room full of your friends so that you can do a good job. All right. And then meet with your friends and your teammates, reflect on what needs to change, what was good, what was bad, do your KWL, and then hand out your thank you notes for their help. And this is where those Starbucks cards come in really handy. You always thank the team of people that helped you that day. Okay. All right. There's this really great game that you can do as a wrap up for the last 10 minutes. You can do a QR code and asking for a survey. You can use Google to do that. You can put this on a website and have them go and do the survey when they're not in front of you. But it's called a dice debrief. And they can roll the dice at their table. You have them do it amongst themselves at the table. And then you say, name one thing that you learned today. Acknowledge someone that did a job well done. Describe the idea that you heard that you'll use. Describe a feeling that for the chairman, sometimes it's an emotional speech. So emotion that you felt. So these kind of tools can make sure that you're getting the play that you need. Okay. All right. So, all right, I'm going to change my view. Can you unspotlight me for me, please, Ellen? All right, now it's your turn. All right, first thing we're going to do is I'd like to hear from you by raising your hand. What is the one thing today that you learned, or if you have a question? All right, Kathy.
Kathy Holm?
Yes, please.
Okay. All those little, like the dice debrief and the survey, you're going to send us a link so we can access those.
Yes, Rosalia will send
Right.
that from the district. This is also recorded and it will be on the Palomar website, and all the resources will be right there with it. So it will come to you in 2 ways. We'll send it to you in an email, and then we'll have it on our website in case you lose the email.
Okay. I thank you very much for this workshop. It was very good. It reviewed some of the things I used to do as a teacher, but it's nice to get the reminder of things that I have in my toolkit and that I need to use. So thank you so much.
Of course, Kathy. I'm glad you're here. Rose.
Thank you very much for this wonderful workshop. I'm glad I came today. It's so much information, but here's my question. So this is all supposed to happen within an hour? Because I just pictured myself doing it as you were talking, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have to learn all of this and have it flow so that it is within that hour. So this is an hour's worth of
Yeah. So
workshop? Okay.
those of you that are in my district, come and do a workshop with me. And
Okay.
you'll see that it just literally runs from one to the next to the next to the next. And it's just kind
Okay.
of a formula, it's
Okay.
just
Okay.
the hardest part for us is time. Does everyone
Yes.
agree? An hour
Yes.
isn't very long.
Yes.
But when you're dealing with heavy topics and a lot to teach, this is my formula, but it may not work for you. But come with me while I do one and watch how it works. And then you'll see it just kind of seamlessly ones to the next, to the next, to the next. Is it perfect? No. But if you plan ahead of time, what I want to reinforce is what I said earlier. You be you.
Mm,
You have to figure out what works for you. Okay. This
okay.
is what teachers do, and this is what I do because I want everyone in my room not to walk away without having what I feel they need to have. And believe it or not, you feel like it's a lot.
Hmm.
But once you have the one tool that works and the one tool that the speech that you do, and then the wrap up that works best for you, it's just kind of runs over and
Okay.
over again. And you get so used to it, it just kind of
Okay.
ebbs and flows.
I love the formula and I just have to learn the lingo.
Sure, of
So, but
course.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Rose, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for being here. Cindy,
Thank you.
hi, love. How are you? How's Fallbrook?
Good, real good. You asked what I got out of it, and I will tell you that I had no idea what KWL was. So my kids are much older, so that wasn't something that was yeah. Anyway, so I
Well,
learned that.
I don't know that teachers send the K. Well, I don't know. I do that with my sixth graders. But I don't know that all teachers use a KWL. It's just something that's been used through the years. It's a way for a teacher to just see if they're getting what we're teaching them.
Yeah. So I really the visual of seeing that sheet really helped me.
Oh,
And the
that's
other
good.
thing was the having four speeches that you have rehearsed. That was fabulous information.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep it in your back pocket. So here's what I see, all these little buckets behind my head. Every single thing that I do is in a bucket. So let's say that I'm coming up on convention and I have some stuff I have to do for a speech for that convention. So I'll show you what I'm doing. Hang on just a second. So for those of you that don't know, I took the role as the Facebook chairman for the state. And I know you're all like, girl, what else are you doing? But so you have to come up with ways to motivate people to do things. And so I have a bucket for Facebook, and then I have these little bees in there, right? So what you do is you plan far enough ahead, and I usually plan, oh guys, I'm a planner. Is anyone else in the room a planner? Like, how you're right. You have to kind of be a planner, right? So I ordered these little bees for convention in May, and I have these little cards, and everyone that has posted something in the Facebook page is going to get a little bee. You were amazing. You be amazing. It's a bee. So, if your little bucket has everything for your 4 workshops. Now, as you can see, I have quadrants. I have school, I have club, I have district, I have state. And then each little quadrant has what belongs in that bucket. So if I've done the worksheet already, then it goes in one of those 4. So just kind of keep it in that bucket, even, so you're not looking through your computer or anything at the last minute. Did that help at all? No. Am I meandering? All right, Colleen.
I learned about using a QR code for surveys. I'm so used to doing paper surveys. I like the idea of the QR code.
Right. And there's also Monkey Survey. It's an
Right.
app. You can send it out. Everyone can use a QR code to tell you how they felt. Yeah. And then if you really get sophisticated, you could use it for reviews for your website. And then people can go to your website and see how much fun they're having. So yeah, I can teach you all that too. All right, Teresa.
Good morning. So yeah, the QR codes are a good idea, but the one with the dice and the other one, paper resources or paper survey type thing, it'd probably work a little better in my club. I have a lot of ladies who just
I
refuse
understand.
refuse to use the internet.
Okay.
We still have to send out paper copies of club clips. So because they won't get an email. I don't know what it is.
I'm actually of the frame of mind that I don't care what that member does. I'm going to do whatever they need. You know,
Right.
so if they need paper, I'll do paper and I'll do a little bit of everything. If I have a lot
Right.
of young people in the room, my high schoolers don't even know how to do paper anymore. So you just kind of have to read your room, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they don't use cash, they don't carry coins, they've never written a check. So we're going to have to change how we do things if we're going to recruit some of these younger members. But for now, if your members are all of a certain age, then that's what we do. If you have to call them, call them. Do whatever it takes to get them there. Get them in the room, and then do what they need. Is what I say.
Right.
Yeah.
And preparation is the biggest thing, especially when you're doing the hands-on things. If you're going to teach them how to make something or do something, I spend weeks
Yeah, I
on
can't
every
even imagine,
project.
Teresa, because some of your creative workshops are quite incredible. She does a lot of like paint and sips, a lot of crafting. She does a lot of things like this. And
Yeah.
that,
Well,
you totally understand our walk in life because as a teacher, um, it was so funny the other day, the choir director goes, "Well, I'm not sure about your calendar." My calendar's set 2 years in advance. Let me send it to you. Oh, we all live on 2 year cycles. Have you guys ever realized that? Right? So every job you have is for 2 years. And so I literally am a control freak over my calendar. And so I'm more than willing to share my Google Calendar with anyone. So we know how much planning we have to do for the August convention because we're already working on it in January. So we've got this, you guys. We've got an incredible talent pool here. All right, Kathy.
Can you teach me how to share my Google Calendar with someone?
All right. Thank you, Kathy. I'll do that. I'm sorry. I asked her to see her calendar and she shared it with me and we couldn't get it to work. So it happens to everybody that you can't make it work, everyone. All right. What else can I do to help you? You can ask any question you want. Really? I cannot be this good. It's not even possible.
Okay,
Oh,
I
hang
have
on
one
just
more
a
thing to
second.
say.
Before we do all this, I often, hang on, just sorry, guys. I usually turn it off during share.